Alrighty, kia ora team, here we are, episode 14 of the AUNZ Music Podcast. Welcome back. Today, we are joined by a friend of mine, Tilaye. What's good, my man?
Reuben, what's going on? How we doing? I feel good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. We're out here. We living.
We out here.
We're doing it. I'm
Nah,
gonna
it's
give
good
you
to
guys
be
a
here,
little.
bro.
Yeah. Glad to have you here. So we're gonna get a little bit of a background scoop on Tilaye. He is a songwriter and videographer creating under the name I Hate Context. Fun. Tilaye grew up in Christchurch but has recently landed here in Melbourne, where he's been settling into the creative scene over the past few months. His journey into videography started pretty organically while studying in Wellington. A flatmate handed him an old camera, and before long he was filming house parties and live shows around the city. He quickly noticed there were heaps of talented musicians playing these gigs who didn't have music videos, so he started making them for his mates. From there, his work spread through the scene, leading to more artist collaborations and eventually into commercial and corporate video work as well. Alongside that visual storytelling, Tilaye is also writing music under that same name, I Hate Context. So today we're diving into that creative world and hearing a bit about the journey so far. Tilaye, welcome.
Man, what an intro, bro. Thank you so much. Kind of wrapped it up. Yeah, that was stunning. No, it's great to be here, man. I love watching these shows and what you do, and it's cool to get that invite. It's pretty fun. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's great to have you here in Melbourne as well, joining us Kiwis abroad. Now, Tilaye, we ask for one silly fun fact about yourself, just to break the ice and let people know a little inside scoop on you. So feed us the juice.
Yeah. Fun, silly little facts. I listen to a lot of podcasts, but I've actually shifted into I like most of the podcasts I listen to right now. They don't. They're in different languages that I don't understand, and so it's kind of like it feels counterproductive, like kind of naturally. But I don't know. I'm just got really into it. There's
Wow.
something soothing, but I think it's just like like white noise and uh,
Uh-huh.
uh, background noise of television and stuff like that. I think
That is
this
super
one is.
quirky.
Yeah, I mean, look, I really had to pull something here, but yeah, it just comes from a place of I think I grew up with like uh, falling asleep to TV in the background and stuff like that, and just people talking,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of strove for that. It's like the only way I can sleep now, but um, sometimes I can get distracted by the actual content, so I really like listening to talking, but in a language I don't understand. So
What
a lot of
languages are you going for?
Japanese, a lot of Japanese since we went to Japan.
Yep.
Um, Especially like the news channels. There's something just really kind of zany and sweet, and yeah, it's a little bit of that, a little German, a lot of Mandarin, and part of me is like, okay, maybe if I was doing enough, maybe I can learn a little bit, but yeah. But
I reckon you have just claimed the championship for quirkiest fact here.
see,
Congratulations.
that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted when I came up here. I can go, yeah, we're good. Sweet.
Coming in hot.
I'll be
Coming
expecting
in
I'll
hot.
be expecting a plaque for that. I appreciate that. Really.
All right, sick. Cool. Let's move into our article of the week. This one is from Triple J and ABC.net. It's entitled, We're Unleashing a Whole Month of Like a Version Performances Over March. Straight to the point, you can probably guess what this one's about. For all of March, Triple J are doubling the amount of Like a Version covers for your ear holes and eye holes. To go with the regular Friday morning release, Triple J added a Tuesday afternoon performance. That's 2 covers, 2 interviews, 2 originals every week in the month of March. Something you listeners can now reflect on after the fact. We're recording here on the 7th of March, so we're in the midst of it. But this is the first time that Triple J are revealing the artists at the start of the month. So they have a whole list of the artists they're going to be releasing on what day. And Tuesday we'll be hosting the international talent, and Fridays geared towards that homegrown Aussie talent. This week we had Turnstiles and the Veronicas on a big return, and later in March is debuts from Inkaby, Lucy Dacus, and Kevin Abstract, alongside returning mates like May, and Baker Boy. Like a Version is a cornerstone of the Australian music industry, with plenty of legends that have come through the studio over the 20 years or so it's been running, including ASAP Rocky, The Internet, Charlie XCX, Tame Impala, and Flume. I first discovered Like a Version with a cover from The Kooks doing MGMT's Kids, and also Matt Corby doing a killer take of Brother, an absolute classic. So feel free to highlight any of your Like a Version highlights here as well, Tilaye, but I'm interested in how important you think these video initiatives are for our live music scene today, and how it is shaping the relationship between music and video.
Yeah, man, particularly, I think we've all caught at least a handful of Like a Version covers from, that platform. I've always thought covers in particular for artists are a really kind of special thing, and for them to kind of cater to that market's really cool because, for artists in particular, I think it's an opportunity to be challenged a little bit, to kind of take something that maybe they wouldn't be traditionally making and make their own version of it. I remember the Rocky one. I think he did that, sitting in the dark in the bay, that one, which is so not like traditionally his style, but like dude can low-key sing, and that's one of my favorite songs. And Childish Gambino's done some stuff on there. I'm pretty sure Brockhampton did a R&B number on there, and like it's just cool to see these artists go a little outside of their lane in one way or another, or even if it's within the same genre. It's also like a visual performance, which as a videographer I really appreciate. And these are artists at the end of the day. These are people that have their own style sonically, but also this own style visually and aesthetically, and what they bring to the table. And if you notice in all these different covers on Like a Version, kind of like Tiny Desk, each one has their own unique flavor that the artist kind of brings. And I really think nowadays, especially with a lot of short form stuff, it's cool to see that resurgence of really attentive, conscious, specific performing, that we do see at actual live sets, but a lot of the time we'll be scrolling and we won't necessarily catch these artists every time. So it's cool to see them in that type of behavior, in that type of landscape. So I think it's super important for this to be kind of brought back, and also the interweaving between international artists and local artists back and forth, and the spontaneity of it. You don't really find out who it is, or it's like bringing back fun. So I really appreciate it, being a fan of the whole complex, and seeing it kind of resurge with artists actually we are familiar with, like Veronicas and Turnstile. That's a crazy combo. I love that. And then obviously interweaving these more local artists. I think that's good for the country. I think it's good for music, and it's good for, honestly, our attention spans. Like not just scrolling through these 5 to 20-second reels anymore. And kind of
because how do you turn that into a reel? Is that even something that is reelable?
I think you should coin that term, reelable. I like that. So I feel like reels should be a little bit of a teaser in order to make you click
Mm.
on the actual video, you know?
Yep.
So like, it kind of needs to be what it would probably be is like the best kind of highlights or pockets of each song or performances.
Hmm.
But a lot of people just stack you know however many 5 to 20 second clips were within that 3 minute song and just do the entire thing. But I feel like you should be selfish with it. Like only give them like 2 or 3 little clips. Make them click the actual video. Make them actually come through and see the whole
Yeah.
performance. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I'm hoping. And they'll have enough artists where they've got enough material to be posting enough content where they don't have to like, um, you know, spam the post button.
Because it's hard to find a highlight moment in a performance, I feel. Like, yeah, there's a climax, but there's only a climax and I know you hate context, but there's only climax in the context of the full journey of
There
the
it is.
video, of the performance, right? Like, you need
Yeah.
that building factor, those moments, those spikes. So, yeah, I understand that there's probably more attention grabbing moments they
Mm.
can highlight for reels, but I think you're right. I think it's always going to be a gateway in the short form world. But
Yeah.
yeah, what
I,
a
I'll,
great
I'll, I'll,
platform.
I'll say this as well, man. Like, just because it's kind of relevant. Like, I've battled with this. I'm sure you've battled with this with like your art and your music, like how to kind of distribute it in a way that doesn't feel like you're necessarily robbing, ironically, of the entire context of the piece. And I've experimented quite a bit. I've posted some shorts, short stuff every now and then, but like, I just felt like allergic to the whole thing. I ended up just honestly, I just post like entire music videos on the IG. Like it's just gone to that point where it's like you're the odds. It takes a lot for someone to actually want to actually click on the long form version after
Hmm.
because I don't think social media posts allow you to put links. You have to do the whole link in bio thing. It's just a mess. So I just be dropping the whole thing, like the
Yeah.
whole 2, 3 minute, 4 minute, and it's weird, but that's kind of a shortcut. So, like, look, man, if they did that, most people are watching on their phones. Most people don't want to
Hmm.
be clicking to get into like an entire different YouTube page.
Yeah.
So, that's what I
And
mean. Just as a fan, I'd like that.
how many people are even clicking link in bio when it's recommended? How
Nah,
many
it's not.
people are
No.
breaking their scrolling rhythm to go to
Yeah,
someone's profile and click on their link?
bro,
I
it
never
is a
do it.
rhythm. You're right. You're right. You're in flow state with scrolling, and it's like you don't want to. It's bad, but you're right. It's totally true. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. What I was curious with this, because I think it highlights how Triple J, as a radio station, a front running radio station here in
Yeah.
Australia, is experimenting with this. Yeah, yeah, it's live on the radio, sure, but I think it's I think it's listening after the fact and watching the videos where people really gravitate towards like a version on YouTube predominantly, I would guess. Um, and they're trialing it twice a week because I'm seeing it as a trial. I'm seeing it like,
Mm.
okay, let's see if we can like uphold this to a high standard, doing it twice a week, because that's got to be one of their most engaging programs, pieces of content that they can share with the world and contribute to supporting not just international talent but local talent too. Because like, if that's what's getting them the most traction, why not do it twice a week? Why not just start leaning into that more and more?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it's like the engagement wars has been a thing for a while, and like, it's been, it's like this exponential thing where like the longer time goes on with social media, the more volume there is of competition, and people have to get like there's this incentive to be quicker, sharper, and more consistent, and more kind of aggressive with the amount you're posting, and um, it's every musician, producer, company, big media, like all these different apparatuses are like kind of trying to figure out the perfect way to do this without kind of like trading off of the soul of who they are and what they do. Um, I think being experimental is probably the coolest thing you could probably do at this point, just because like you kind of alluded to, they kind of it's pretty ambitious what they're doing, and they probably are going to be posting quite a lot because they have so many different artists coming through. But I think it's the way that they're doing it and what they're actually doing is why we're talking about it. You know, it's
Mm.
cool. It's actually cool what they're doing. They're not just doing the same thing. They're kind of being a little bit. They're taking something that was popping a little bit in the past, but they're like mixing it up. You know, I think that's the main thing. Like, attention doesn't isn't just um, a matter of like keeping someone fixated on one thing over and over again uh, with one piece of content and one piece of like consistent type of media. It's like keeping people entertained by switching it up and doing it a little different or spontaneous. And it's cool to see them kind of lean into that. And they're also, you know, it's not like it was ages ago, but it is. We do have a little bit of nostalgia with those types of like aversion videos, you know. So it's like
Yeah.
it's cool bringing it back and then switching it up as well. So I think they're doing. I'm really relieved to hear that they're doing that, and I think they're doing it
Mhm.
pretty tastefully. It is going to be interesting, what they do, you know, media wise as far as like the actual publishing, you know. So
Yeah. Yeah. I'm interested to see what happens over the rest of the year with it too, if it's something they look to try and continue. And obviously, there's other video platforms doing similar things, like Tiny Desk does their thing, and they're starting to globalize their Tiny Desks. I know, like, my partner's from Brazil, and they have Tiny Desk Brazil now. I guess they're
yeah,
doing that with other nations as well. Um,
yeah,
One that I've been watching over the last few years is from Missouri, and that is a band tries to make a cover of a song on the spot. So they have a day, a day in the studio to make a cover and make it their own. Because I like what you said about, like, for example, ASAP Rocky doing Dock of the Bay. How
hmm,
that's not something you would associate with ASAP Rocky, but how they
yeah,
move that song into their lane, making it their
exactly.
own. Yeah, that's cool. I like that lane shift of a piece of art and then dressed up in new clothes, essentially.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. That's kind of what, especially when it comes to engagement and attention. Like, um,
Mm.
you know, like
Why do we
there's
like
almost
that?
nothing. We because we like I'm sure this is a better word for it, but
Familiarity.
like oxymorons almost. Like we
Mm.
like it when, yeah, familiarity, but like with like some kind of aggressive dichotomy. You know what I mean? Like I think that's why, like, if you think about who's a good, like Brockhampton's a good example where, you know, they're like 9 to 13 guys making extremely experimental hip hop music, but they called themselves like a boy band, right?
Mm.
And like, you know what I mean? And like they all look completely different. They're all from like different places and stuff like that. It's like kind of the antithesis of like a very commercial polished boy band, right? And you can do this with a bunch of um, different artists that have actually blown up and gotten really big. You know, it'll be something, but with like a little twist, you know?
Mm.
And we like that because just like we like twists in shows, you know what I mean, in movies. It's
Mm.
what keeps us like um engaged and then fulfilled, and there's a payoff, you know? It's just like storytelling. It's like a you know, one of my favorite things is making like, you know, I make a lot of like blues and, you know, kind of jazz influence and uh you know, old rock and roll stuff, but like I come from making videos for rappers and stuff like that, and I like making like rap videos for myself, like, you know, more street looking videos, but with like a
Yeah.
jazz, soft Michael Bublé, you know, type
Mm.
of song in the back. It's just funny. It's just interesting. You know what I mean? And then flipping
Mm.
that. So that's why with these covers, I think the people that are doing it smart are the people that are doing a cover that they wouldn't traditionally do. You know? And I think
Yeah.
every artist, if any artists are listening, like mess with that. Like do stuff that's weird for you. It's almost more rewarding because I feel like there's like every artist has like 90 artists within them that they haven't really even been introduced to, you know? So
Yeah.
take the time and, you know, get a little weird and crazy because we like it, you know?
Yeah. I like that. Every artist has 90 artists inside of them. What artists are you suppressing, my friends? That brings us to
There
our
you go.
song of the month. We're going to close out part one there. This song is called Wolves. It's a new track from, I think it's Young Maine and JJ4K. So
All right.
having a quick listen to that, and then we'll be back to talk about it. Chop chop.
Yeah, still that boy from the west of the city that burns, and we let it burn when we drop that. Big boy on the bluff, from the hood to the burbs. I done went from the bourbon to cognac. From a boy I done turned to a man of his words. So when I say we want the top, lad, no, we coming for all of it, all we deserve. Until that day we never stop, lad. Some of yous try and play us for fools, cause we ain't trying to play by your rules. But we never switch for the fame and the jewels. See a sheep will get fed to the wolves. Like some of yous really try to play us for fools, cause we ain't trying to play by your rules. But we never switch for the fame and the jewels. See a sheep will get fed to the wolves. From the time I could walk, cause I knew I was destined for greatness. Now I'm trying to prove it. Brody told me I'm ready, so I gotta get it by any means. Follow the blueprint. You gotta pick up the pace, cause some of these snakes in the grass always follow your movements. Tell me move with caution, watch how you talking, or you get left with a shoe print. Is you stupid? All of these fucks when they talk now it's sounding repetitive.
Wolves from Young Maine or Maney, we're not quite sure, and JJ4K. Whew, hot track, hot off the press too.
Yeah.
What grabbed you today? What was it?
Man, okay. I'm like notoriously into when rappers kind of keep their accent, you know? And like it's hard, I think, for Kiwis and Australians, you know, because like, you know, you grow up on a lot of, you know, American rap, you know, that's kind of like that was kind of predominant, you know, rap that was on outlets like C4 and stuff growing up. But so I always actually found it really like prideful, you know, when you would hear rappers being able to keep their accent and also choosing to do so, and carving their own lane doing it. You know what I mean? So I'm always a big fan of that. That was coming out super clear. Also, just like production wise, it was pretty good, pretty fresh. The mix was really nice. It was cool, kind of like those samples were quite interesting. Kind of had like it was like an organ underneath it, but it was like kind of almost old school, kind of jazzy or bluesy kind of sampling underneath it, with super kind of aggressive, confident rapping. You know what I mean? Yeah, I liked it. It was I would have maybe stripped it back a little bit with a lot of the instrumentation, you know, just because when the rapping is that clear and the rapping is so, you know, concise and on point, I feel like frequency wise, you can have a little bit of space around it to kind of give it a little bit of an opportunity to be a little bit more upfront or in the center. But overall, it was quite good. I really like the second verse too.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Actually, I like the second verse as well.
Yeah.
But it hits hard off the bat. The production I thought was great, actually. But now that you've mentioned it, yeah, there could have been a little cleanup with some of those frequencies just to let the rap cut through a touch more. But I really liked how full his voice sounded. And he might just have a really full, hearty voice in himself, but like it still came through really clear in the production for me. The low end was fat and heavy. I like that, and yeah, it had this bob the whole way, this bounce, steady on the vibe.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, no, it hit hard.
Yeah, you would have seen me in the background just like getting into it. Dude, I gotta say, like, and like you think about whenever I'm listening to tracks like this, all I can think about, man, like this needs to go off live. You know, this is a live performing track.
Yo.
Like you imagine that BPM and those instrumentals and just like that kind of like, I don't want to use this word aggressive voice, but like, yeah, like that big tonal upfront voice. Like, I don't know what they're like live, man, but like those shows would go insane. You
Yeah.
know?
I'm with it.
Yeah. So like, I'm really actually excited to, figure out what they're going to do with that live. You know?
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's a really new track. It was released February 26th. It's got a few tracks out now. Yeah, go check it out. Make sure you listen to the full song. And I believe they're based in Melbourne too. Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Let's check them out.
Yeah. Get them on the live stage, eh? Let's hear it.
Yeah. Get them on the pod, bro. What are we doing?
Yeah, hard. Quick note, if you're listening and wanting more structured song feedback or artist development support, that's the work GYMjot exists to do. Details are at gymjot.com.au. Back to it with some artist development chats, Tilaye. We like to ask our guests for aha moments or creative forks in the road that change their processes towards creation, or anything that you would like to share that you think was a interesting moment in your creative journey. Please do so.
Yeah. Man, there's been so many like little ones that have kind of accumulated into the artist who you are today. And most of it isn't even to do with like marketing or getting your stuff out there in a certain type of way. You know what I mean? I think for me, like a big one is just really being prioritizing like scrapbooking kind of out loud. I feel like sketching out loud is a lot more valuable for me than perfecting something in private. And I think like with the bedroom producer generation, we were kind of really lucky because we were able to, anyone could be a producer, anyone could sing or rap or whatever. All you needed was like a little interface, Focusrite interface with shitty snowball mic, whatever. And anyone could make beats, anyone could make music. And fortunately we got a lot of amazing music with and uploads and so through SoundCloud and a lot of different eras and stuff like that. It's amazing. But like with that, the trade-off was like pursuing live music wasn't as much of a priority. And we got a lot of kind of perfectionism syndrome a little bit, because we could just kind of, that's the other thing with our bedroom producing, like we could do as many takes as we want. This infinite take thing. And like, we weren't going to studios. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of bands still out doing that, but like a lot of, at least around the producers I was around, like, we weren't necessarily going to studios because we were the studio and we didn't have a clock. We didn't have the clock running. We weren't actually paying for the studio session time, and we weren't necessarily, constrained by time. We had the illusion of choice. And with that comes a lot of hoarding of amazing music. Me and most of my friends had this growing up, and I started to resent it a little bit. Even if I had songs that I thought were amazing, it's like, if you don't practice getting them out, if you don't actually practice releasing them, and I don't mean the perfect release strategy or anything, I mean just like, if you don't practice having it released and doing it again and doing it again and doing it again and being kind of messy out loud and playing shows, even if you don't know how to play a show, like just doing it and getting better, I think that's allows you to have the keys to like the library of the rest of the potential of your musicianship in your head. You know what I mean? Because you have this, like, as an artist, you have this infinite catalog of ideas that are constantly being offered to you. But if you're stuck on this song from like 9 months ago, you know, because you haven't found the right sample, or you haven't found the right, you know, vocal chop or whatever. You haven't gotten the right take because you're in the wrong apartment, you know, and your flatmates are around and you don't want to sing, you know, sing in front. Like there's all this stuff where it's like you need to somehow figure out a way to like a structure or a system to shortcut a lot of that stuff to get the stuff out, you know? Because what's the number one problem people have is like they do all this effort and then when they finally release it like a year or two later, like nothing happens, you know? Because no one really even cares, you know? Like people care about a culture, and the way you kind of provide a culture is by doing more than one thing a year, you know, or even more than one thing a couple months. You know what I mean? Like that's why I think live streaming is definitely gonna become a thing, more so in the musician space than just randomly dropping an album once a year. The practice and the messy part and the production, record all of that and put it out. I think like the process is what's interesting as well as the product, you know, and building and designing a relationship between those and having them both kind of be out loud is, I think, really valuable and interesting. And I will say as well, there's something a little bit disingenuous comparatively with the product and compared to the process, because the process is actually you and it's vulnerable and it's your characteristics. If you film yourself recording an album like the whole time and you put that out, there's going to be all these quirks about you that you didn't even know were there, but the audience actually gets to see. No one else in the world is like you, you know what I mean? And if you get to the point where you can actually be yourself on camera without all these refinements, unlike the product, you know, then that's what's actually interesting, because no one is like you. And we're talking about what's the thing that can make, why do we like dichotomies and why do we like, you know, oxymorons with artists and media? And it's because it's interesting. And the most interesting, unique thing in the world is you. There's no other version of you. So learning how to have that vulnerable, authentic version of you on camera or, you know, through media, as well as your crystal, you know, finalized perfect product, I think that's the package, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Just being messy out loud, playing gigs, even though I don't know how to play gigs. Just, you know, putting 1 minute ideas out there as opposed to the whole song if I can't finish it. Diversifying and like getting people involved who might be able to help me for stuff I would normally try to do by myself. Delegation, you know, share it all.
Yeah.
You know, get these ideas out so you can unlock the vault of infinite ideas you actually do have as well, you know, because you're kind of hoarding right now and I don't appreciate it, you know, because as someone with a lot of friends with amazing music and videos, I'm like, come on, this is a problem. We gotta do this. So I know that was a long spiel, but I'm very passionate about this, you know, so that's kind of where I'm at.
There's a lot in there. I'm going to address a couple of points. First, I hadn't thought about how the bedroom studio had encouraged perfectionism. That is an interesting insight. The limitless, endless, infinite takes. Yeah, it's slowing down. Yeah. It's making the process a grind. And we have the ability to try and find perfect when perfect was never really the solution. Really? Like, was it the solution? I don't know. Maybe there's a moment for it. I don't think it exists myself. Another interesting...
It's just so subjective as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Another interesting thing you highlighted was this move to highlighting the process behind a product. I think we're seeing moments in culture already where that is happening, like the Beatles documentary on Disney, the behind the scenes of Get Back in the studio, and like that was big, and that was just them in the studio, raw footage. And I know I'm not the Beatles, no one's gonna but it's there, it's happening. I even think about, like, there's that show called Welcome to Wrexham which is about Ryan Reynolds and Ryan McElhenney buying a football club in Wales. And they show the behind the scenes, the process of buying a football club and like enriching that football club to try and help them promote, get to the next level, and like the steps in that. And you see the behind the scenes of what a football club is, and that was popular too. And I also think Ed Sheeran's done that documentary series where he did that songwriting camp, and he's got all these different songwriting groups around him, and he sort of bounces around these groups and works on different ideas with them to come up with stuff. Interesting insight into his creative process for that specific project, at least. I can't remember what project it was, but there's already been instances in culture where this has been given the tick of approval. Live streaming's interesting. Do you think there's a technological barrier to that at the moment at all? Or what's stopping that? Because we've also alluded to like short form video being popular, the end thing at the moment. Live streaming is almost the exact opposite. It's like no filter.
Yeah. That's why it's gonna be a thing. Like we like dichotomy. Like if we've had this for a while, the thing that's gonna happen is this over here, purely because of this. It's reactionary. It's a pendulum thing, right? Yeah. It's kind of this. It's the aspect of every part of our life, like whether it's music or politics or whatever. We constantly, society does this big pendulum swing. So we have been entrenched in short form media for so long, man. And I'm starting to notice that like most of my friends been trying to get off it. Like we're all like the most popular apps right now are the apps that like help you get off it. What I mean? So like people are kind of becoming a little bit allergic to the brain rot and the constant feed, the algorithm just constantly feeding you stuff, even if it is something like music, And so I think the natural reaction to that is going to be like long, boring, like not actually boring, but like, it seems like it would be boring, but like, look, man, I've never been the type of person to watch a live stream, like a Twitch stream. Like I'm not really into all that, but I used to watch like Instagram lives of like Young Thug cooking in the studio, for hours. Just freestyling, coming up because that's interesting, And there's almost like oh my god, I was there for when this song popped off, or like was created. There's that meme like, oh my god, it's like watching the Mona Lisa be painted.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like that's how. I mean, also I will say, it is also a pretty incredible way to create, like to get a lot of content. If you live stream you making a song, right? You know how many clips there are, short form clips you can actually make out of that. So it's also like economically justified as well,
Yeah.
So, but I do think that we're just in a state right now where the type of entertainment is shifting, and as it's probably needed to for a while, and it also helps with the issue of people. Look, artists don't want to do the whole, hey guys, this is my new track. Like we don't, most artists are pretty anti doing that anyway. Like it's hard for us to do that. We don't like being these, TV presenters about our music. What better antidote for that than just being yourself without any type of filter or cuts? You know what I mean? I think what's, like you said, we're alluding to the question being like, is there like a technological barrier to that? Like what is there some kind of barrier? And like, yes, like live streaming is technologically like a whole thing, but like so is playing live, right? I hadn't played live since I was like 15 years old in a hardcore band, you know what I mean? And so I had to figure out like, how do you even do it? Like, do I play guitar and sing at the same time? Do I, do I bring my own amp? Like, there's technical barriers to every single thing that's kind of on the other side of something you want, you know? And I think people, the more it becomes normal, that technological barrier will become like a little more dismissible because it's already within culture.
Totally.
Like, there's a technical barrier for boomers that make music when they want to download TikTok. But not even boomers, just like older millennials. You know, like they don't really know how to be using TikTok and stuff like that. But everyone in Gen Z does. But when it comes to this live stream stuff, we're just in that right now. Right now, it's not culturally as normal in music. But the moment it is, we'll all be used to it.
Yeah.
You know, we'll kind of know how to do it. So, yeah.
And coming back to your initial point there, live streams opens the door to legitimate collaboration too in real time, in that you can actually, if I'm live streaming myself and you're watching, just you, and it's not a conversation, but I can outsource moments of like, what one do you actually like better? And you can be option A, option B. And so I'm going to go with that. Because as a creator, those moments can be tough, you know, choosing which one's actually better. Like it's murky waters, better. And we are already in like a creative driven culture. We're all user generated content now, you know? So why not just let like these successful creators, so to speak, these ones that are really influencing culture and that have a large following, if they're going to live stream and they've got all these people watching them in their process, right? Why not like let your fans help you? You know, literally.
100. I mean, I'll say this much: like, there's also a hefty bag involved if you can get it popping. You know what I mean? Like, look. I mean, like, you've seen T-Pain? He's been live streaming?
Nah, I haven't.
Have you seen that?
Tell me.
Dog, you should check this out, man. Like, he figured out the live streaming thing kind of before a lot of, like, big artists did, you know? And he talks about it. Like, the cool thing about these live streams and being vulnerable is, like, you know, you've got your chat window and everyone's just, like, talking and, like, you know, there's a community, right? Which is the number one thing you need as an artist if you want to do stuff, right? Like that's like one of the best ways to get a community, and they're all talking to you, you know, constantly. And like if you ever watch T-Pain, it's like he's kind of low-key in an interview as well, because they'll just be asking questions about his career and stuff like that, and he'll give these little gems and he'll talk about like, yo, I've made more money from, and you know how big T-Pain was.
Oh yeah,
you know, like he's on every song ever, right, back in the day, and he's talking about how he's made more money live streaming and, you know, gaming online and stuff like that, and making beats online than he ever has in his entire career. And also, like, it's just so entertaining what he's doing, because like we only got to see the polished version of Pain, right? T-Pain, which was amazing. Don't get me wrong, I loved it. But then like when you're watching these streams, and I still don't really watch all the streams, I just kind of watch clips every now and then. But he's being really vulnerable. He's talking about like, you know, parts of his life that he learned from and how he got crossed and why he doesn't trust this, and how he's like teaching people how to move as well in the industry. And then 5 minutes later, he's like making an entire song. And because he's so good at just making hits, he can still do it. But now he does it live, and he takes suggestions from his audience, you know? I think Tory Lanez was doing that with the pandemic. Doing live streams and a radio situation like you are right now. And look, in fact, you are doing it right now, kind of. This podcast is a long form live thing. And there are parts of me that no one was ever going to see unless I did this. Even myself, I didn't know I would, you know, talk. It would be crazy watching this live back and seeing all the quirks I have, you know? But that's coming back, man. It's cool. It's interesting. It's you got a whole lot of flavor waiting for you in the authentic live version of yourself. That's all.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. Podcast is a live stream. Totally. I mean, there is editing involved, but most of the podcasts that I engage with anyway are pretty authentic expression, you know, captured in the moment. And this is all unedited, guys. This is a steady flow conversation, so to speak. Nice. Thanks for sharing that, man. There's some really cool insights in there and points to think about, to chew on.
Yeah, of course, man.
That does bring us to the end of our part 2. We're going to let the song of the month, Wolves, play out underneath. While Tilaye, if you want to send people anywhere, now is the time. Where can they watch your live streams?
Yeah, so you can catch me on Instagram just at Tilaye, my name, Tilaye. Or you can just go on YouTube. I hate context, one word. And I think every other platform I'm under I hate context as well. IHATECONTEX. That's it.
Sick. Thank you, sir. We will be seeing you guys again in 1 month time for episode 15. Enjoy the rest of your day, my man. I'll see you soon in the flesh.
Will do. Hey, been a pleasure, man. Thank you so much.
Peace.